Hi friends, I'm just heading down to the mailbox and I figured I would give you guys another garden tour. Come along with me, see what's going on in this garden this 2024. So here is what we call the lower acre. It's actually about maybe 2/3 of an acre that we have down here. And it was tilled up again this year and we just haven't used it. We did put in potatoes. 3 rows of potatoes, and 2 of the rows didn't produce anything. I put in a row of sorghum, red broom corn, but the seeds were a little old and it didn't produce anything. So we've just been mowing it down. Along this left edge, we try to keep a path so that we can walk in and out without getting too much tick exposure. But this stuff here in the front, this should be a row of potatoes, or 2 rows of potatoes, and a row of sunflowers, and the sunflowers didn't germinate either. So there might be some potatoes in there, but there's really nothing worth keeping. That should just be mowed down. We have 1 squash plant in here, and I don't even know what type of squash this is going to be. I forgot to plant zucchini this year, so I would be happy to get any squash. Since this is a volunteer, chances are it could be pumpkin, it could be acorn squash, or it could be spaghetti squash. It's definitely not zucchini. The growth habit is not like a zucchini plant. But that's it. In there somewhere, there was potato. And it certainly doesn't look like there's any potato there now. I will check for the plants a little more thoroughly, and then I'll tell Dan to just go ahead and mow it down. And here we have 1 sunflower at the end of July. So it hasn't really done much, but we should have a whole row of them. That's the only one that germinated. Deer flies are biting me. Yuck. While we do have better germination here for our sunflowers on the other side, they're still not doing much. I'm really disappointed with this. But I can't be disappointed with this. We have tall spikes of pollen coming on these, and lots of I don't even know what part of the plant that's called. I don't know corn well enough. I don't think that's called tassels, but that's the stamen on the top of the plant, and there's lots of pollen on there. You can see as I'm getting bit. You can see the brown on there. That's all covered in pollen. That's fantastic for making sure we get some corn. We do have some silks in there that are starting, but they're really not doing much. We won't have corn for a couple of weeks by the looks of this. If this had been weeded or sprayed, of course, we would have less of this ragweed that's in here. In case you're allergic to it and you don't know what it looks like, this pretty plant here with all the spikes and fern type leaves, that's ragweed. I'd prefer if we could mow it down and reduce our exposure, but as you see back there, all of that has gone to seed already, so we're not any further ahead. We might get some corn eventually. We have rows and rows of it, so I think we'll be putting some, and this is all sweet corn or cream and sugar corn, sugar and cream or something like that. And it will make some nice eating and some to go in the freezer. But it doesn't look like it's producing much yet. Dan came in here with the lawnmower the other day and took out some of the weeds in between the rows. I do see right there, I do see that there is a cob developing. I've seen a couple of them, but still not much. And if you look at this corn beside me, and then you see that field over there, that's the cattle corn on the neighbor's property. It's 3 times the size of what we've got going here, but he does put some herbicide on his to keep the plants down, the weeds down in the rows. His is all planted and tilled and planted and sprayed by a big tractor. Not a huge tractor, but much larger than what we have. And as you can see, there is some weed growth in there. Let me see. There we go. There is some weed growth in there, but there are also rows where there's no weed growth at all. Very different. And his are just starting to come to cob too. Oh, what do I see? Look at what I see here. There's a cob that's already turning brown on the silks. It's tiny, and I can't feel the kernels in there, so it's far from developed yet. From this vantage point, you can also see that there are two different types of corn. The corn on the right just isn't doing as hot, and the corn on the left is doing much better. But then it peters off to something small again on the other side. I don't know what happened here. Dan planted all of this, and we do have 10 rows of corn. Let's see what we get. These guys being so little and short might actually extend our growing season and give us a later harvest instead of 10 rows of corn all coming ripe at the same time. Here we have our choke cherry tree. And as you can see by that, it's been picked bare already. I spotted some more up higher in the tree, and it's just already been picked. The birds have had a feast on this. Last year, Dan and his friend Louie came down here and cleaned out a whole lot of trees. There was a lot of sumac, and there was a lot of other things. They left some of the oak, and they left a few varieties, but this one was a surprise to even find it. They found an apple tree. Now, looking at this, you can see that it needs to be pruned badly. It's been in this corner and neglected, and we didn't even know it was here for 2 years. Last year we got 4 little teeny tiny apples off of it. This year we've got 4 more. They're a little larger. We might be able to tell what type of apples they are, but it still seems too early, but this looks like it's ready. But there's another one. There were 4 of them on here. Oh. And here's another one. If you know what kind of apples these are, please let us know. And there's the 4th one hiding in there. And apparently we have a little bird up there that's a little bit pissed off that I'm here. He's tiny. Oh well. A year ago, May, my boys were here, and we had these rocks in our backyard that were left by the previous owner, and we had this hill that was a bit of a pain to mow. So we had the boys help me build this raised garden. It was right immediately after this that I started having all of my health symptoms and problems, and I haven't done what I wanted to do with that since. I have yarrow that's growing very well, this white one in the front. I have, what is that? I have lovely hollyhocks that are facing the other direction, but they're there. And this is a hollyhock, but look at that. It almost looks like a carnation. That is so lovely. I'm happy with that. My daisies have died off. There are just a few of them left. I've heard so many people talk about chamomile self-seeding and coming back. Mine didn't. I did have chamomile here last year and it didn't do anything. And borage, I have 1 single borage plant that has come up. So disappointing. I'm not sure what that one in the middle is going to be, aside from the clover that's next to it. I'm not sure what the other plant it is. Almost looks like hollyhocks. And I didn't put hollyhocks over here. And then we have clover that's just wild. And I think that little green cluster at the towards the back there is rue. It didn't grow last year, but it's growing now. Here we have a single peony plant, and it is not doing very well. And then here we have elderberry. I planted 2 different cultivars so that they could cross-pollinate and they would grow, but these little guys aren't doing much. This is the first time that one has got any flowers on it. It looks like this one had flowers, but something's also been eating at it. And then we have the next is still in flower and it's producing berries. And then we have this beauty that is huge. It's taller than I am. It's got to be 7 feet tall probably, and it's producing so much. I won't have to worry about elderberry tincture or elderberry syrup for a while. Some of it's still in blossom. I've been harvesting some of the blossoms because there's so many here. I've been harvesting some of the blossoms to make elderberry blossom tea, elderflower tea. But you can also see this tree is just going to be bursting with berries. Thanks for hanging out with me for this brief garden tour today, guys. I will see you next time.